For decades, Germany stood as the industrial and financial powerhouse of Europe, the economic engine that kept the continent moving. Known as the heart of the EU and the world's manufacturing giant, Germany alone produced nearly 1/10 of all goods made on Earth. Its stability, discipline, and engineering prowess made it the model of economic excellence. But today, this very miracle that once seemed unshakable is showing deep cracks. For the first time in generations, the German economy is expected to shrink for the second consecutive year. Iconic companies like Volkswagen are considering closing factories in Germany for the first time in their 87-year history, something once unimaginable. The nation faces what could be its third straight year of recession, with over 3 million people now unemployed. Yet, instead of standing by, Berlin has chosen to gamble big, a €500 billion bet, the largest spending package in modern German history, worth 15% of its entire GDP. For a country famous for its fiscal discipline, that has always prided itself on spending only what it earns, this marks a historic shift. The gamble is simple but enormous. If this massive investment succeeds, it could revive Germany's economy and lift the rest of Europe with it. But if it fails, it won't just destroy the reputation Germany built over decades, it could drag down the entire European Union's economy. To understand why Germany has reached this point, we need to look back at how its economic model was built and how the world around it changed. Germany is not like most advanced economies. While others transitioned toward service-based industries like finance or consulting, Germany remained deeply industrial. Its strength lies in making things, high-quality, export-driven goods. Cities like Wolfsburg, home to the world's largest car factory, symbolize this industrial identity. That single Volkswagen factory alone produces more cars each year than the entire United Kingdom or Italy. Manufacturing makes up over a quarter of Europe's industrial output, and exports account for nearly half of Germany's GDP, 3 times more than in the United States. This export-heavy model brought immense prosperity. Germany consistently ran trade surpluses of over $200 billion a year, generating wealth that flowed back into the country. With more tax revenue and a healthy private sector, Berlin rarely needed to borrow. In 2009, this philosophy was even written into law through the debt brake, a constitutional amendment that limited government borrowing to 0.35% of GDP annually, a tiny fraction of what countries like the US borrow. The message was clear: Germany would never live beyond its means. For a decade, this discipline paid off. Between 2010 and 2019, the German economy grew by 25%, unemployment dropped below 5%, and the nation became Europe's symbol of stability. Its precision-engineered economy seemed unbreakable, until a series of global shocks began to test its limits. First came COVID-19. When global trade froze, Germany's export-based model was hit harder than almost any other country. Exports fell by 10%, wiping out over €100 billion in trade revenue. The car industry, Germany's pride, saw production collapse by nearly a quarter. GDP shrank by 5%, marking the country's worst performance since World War II. Before it could recover, a second crisis hit: Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Overnight, Germany lost a €20 billion export market, but the real blow came from energy. More than half of Germany's gas came from Russia, essential for running its steel mills, chemical plants, and factories. When Russian supplies were cut, energy prices skyrocketed, electricity costs rose by 35% within months. Many factories simply couldn't afford to keep operating. As production halted, the economy slipped back into recession. By 2024, Germany's GDP had fallen by over $200 billion, a staggering loss. Ordinarily, a wealthy nation would counter this by spending big, as the US did with its $5 trillion COVID stimulus, to reignite growth. But Germany's debt brake made that impossible. Even as unemployment surpassed 3 million, Berlin's hands were tied. Then came new external pressures. The US announced plans to impose 15% tariffs on German exports, a nightmare for a country that counts America as one of its top 3 trade partners. At the same time, demands grew for Germany to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP. With rising inflation, an energy crisis, and political tension, Germany found itself cornered. In March 2025, Berlin made a decision that broke with its entire post-war tradition. It suspended the debt brake and approved a €500 billion spending plan. The funds were aimed at rebuilding infrastructure, investing in green energy, and directly supporting struggling industries. This wasn't just a stimulus, it was a radical rethinking of Germany's economic model. Around €300 billion of the package is earmarked for infrastructure upgrades, from high-speed rail networks linking cities like Munich, Frankfurt, and Hamburg, to modern bridges, broadband expansion, and digital infrastructure. For a country long celebrated for its efficiency, Germany's infrastructure has decayed. More than one-third of its bridges are in urgent need of repair, and broadband coverage lags behind most of Europe. Reinvesting here could significantly boost productivity by reconnecting supply chains and industries. The remaining €100 billion will flow into the Climate and Transformation Fund, designed to make Germany energy independent and future-proof. This includes offshore wind farms in the North Sea expected to generate 6 terawatt-hours annually, enough to power 1.6 million homes, and a five-fold expansion in solar capacity by 2030. The goal is clear: to escape dependence on foreign gas, lower electricity costs, and revive the manufacturing backbone that once defined the nation. This approach has historical precedent. Post-war Japan, for example, used massive public investment to rebuild its economy and achieved decades of rapid growth. But Germany's challenge is different. Unlike Japan, it's not rebuilding from rubble, it's upgrading a mature system, where returns on investment are smaller and slower. According to Germany's central bank, meaningful results from these investments may not appear until 2027. Meanwhile, interest payments on the new debt, about €40 billion a year, will consume nearly 8% of the federal budget, almost as much as what Germany spends on education. The real danger lies in perception. If investors lose confidence in Germany's ability to manage its debt, borrowing costs could soar. Even a 2% rise in bond yields would cost the country an extra €25 to €30 billion a year. Already, yields on German bonds have hit 40-year highs, hovering near 3%. If they rise much further, the entire plan could unravel. And the stakes go far beyond Germany itself. The Eurozone's stability has long depended on Berlin acting as the financial backstop. When weaker economies like Greece or Italy face crisis, investors lend to them only because they trust Germany will step in if things go wrong. If Germany's own finances come under strain, that trust could evaporate, risking a chain reaction across Europe's financial system. Still, doing nothing was not an option. Without intervention, projections showed unemployment climbing beyond 5 million and GDP remaining negative through 2026, an outcome that would have dismantled Germany's credibility as Europe's stabilizer. The €500 billion gamble might be risky, but it is arguably the only path forward. This marks a turning point not just for Germany, but for modern capitalism itself. For decades, Germany's formula was clear: strict fiscal discipline, low debt, and export-led private growth. That system built a global industrial powerhouse. But it also left the nation vulnerable to global shocks and over-reliant on foreign demand. Now, Germany is flipping the model, embracing state-led investment on a massive scale in hopes of rebuilding resilience from within. Whether this bold experiment succeeds or fails will define the next decade, not just for Germany, but for Europe and perhaps the world. If it works, Berlin could set a new blueprint for developed nations, proving that even in advanced economies, large-scale government investment can still spark renewal. If it fails, it may signal the end of the age of state-driven economic miracles. Germany's bet is not merely about money, it's about rewriting the rules that built its success. In a world of fragile supply chains, geopolitical instability, and climate uncertainty, the question now is whether the cautious giant of Europe can reinvent itself, or whether its greatest strength, fiscal discipline, will also become its greatest weakness. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to World Economy.